Good evening, cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is going to be our Doctor Who season finale review of the Battle of...
Ranskoor of Kolos.
Because I have no idea how to say it. I tried like 6 times. It wasn't going to happen. This is a culmination of the season.
Yep.
With a ton of throwbacks within stuff that happened in the season.
Yep.
And throwbacks to previous Doctors.
Yeah, I mean that's happened throughout the season.
It's been getting more and more as we've gone along in this season.
Yeah.
She called herself clever.
Yes.
Which was the first real thing where I was like, oh, she's made other references to reverse and polarity, which was last week, which was 5. The 5th Doctor's thing, 6th Doctor's thing, something like that. She's made other references to being an old man and stuff like that. But this was the one where I was like, she remembers being clever.
Yes. Yeah.
She also remembers towing Earth with the TARDIS.
Yep. And making the Slovene chick back into an egg.
Oh, yeah. I missed that one, too. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, a ton of references that wasn't going to happen this season to previous time as a Doctor. But it makes sense, the finale, that you were going to make references throughout the season from this season. But they made references to previous Doctors.
Yeah.
And it's been more and more and more as we've gone along this season.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
This last episode was written by Chris Chibnall, the showrunner. I believe the first episode was done by Chibnall too.
That would make sense because this has the Toothface Tim Shaw. In it, and that was the first one. So
yeah, and I could argue that this is probably the best written episode of the season.
Yeah, I would say it was definitely better than a lot of the ones this season.
A lot better than at least the last one for sure.
Yeah.
We've been having some conversations online with some friends who are more experienced Doctor Who fans than we are. That's a good way of putting it.
Okay, yeah.
And they have been complaining about the writing and how they really aren't liking this Doctor. Now, I like Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor herself, but I agree with some of their comments about some of the episodes being
poorly written.
I was going to say oddly written, but I will go with poorly written.
Yeah. I mean, overall, from what I've seen, we have a couple friends who still aren't sure about Jodie herself, but overall, what I'm seeing online is that people are generally positive about Jodie herself.
Right.
But the consensus is that people are not super happy with the writing, and as I think I mentioned week before, she overuses her sonic screwdriver.
Yes, yeah.
And I was specifically paying attention this episode.
She uses it quite a bit in this episode, but it all makes sense, I think, within the contents of this episode.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It just seems
it seems a little maybe much over the last few episodes.
Yeah, and
I think there was a few things that happened within this episode where the sonic wasn't necessarily needed, but was used. It's almost a crutch storytelling wise.
Yeah. It's like a plot device.
Yeah.
It's a. I can't think of a better way to explain this, so she'll just sonic screwdriver it.
Right. Overall, I really liked this episode. There was, like we said, a ton of references from this season. There was comments about the Ghost Monument, the Yaz's mom's watch,
Hernan's
watch. I'm trying to scroll down here. Graham and Ryan finally beat. Like just Graham talking about Grace and like just different things that happened without this.
They finally fist bumped.
Actually, they fist bumped in the last episode, but they actually like really like engaged in the.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
We made a big deal about it, but Ryan.
Well, I remember he called him Grandpa in the last one, but I didn't remember him fist bumping.
They fist bumped and actually Graham put his fist up and Ryan bumped it, and Graham kind of looked at it for a while, like, so now what do we do? Like, and Ryan said, "I loved you" to Granddad, and like they wrapped up the season as a whole satisfactory.
Yeah.
I on the whole, I'm not super enthused with the season. This episode itself, I liked a lot.
Yeah.
With a lot of the references, this was definitely a episode for fans who stayed throughout the season and who have been in with the Doctor for several seasons.
Yeah.
But as a season as a whole, I'm not overly happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of episodes that we really liked, but as a whole, I would say, and I mean, the first season of Capaldi was kind of the same way.
It was a rough one
too,
yeah.
And this one, because not only do we have a new Doctor, but we have new writers, new showrunner, and so they're trying to find their way. I'm very interested because this whole season has been done before they ever started, right? Before they ever aired.
Start airing them, yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they take from the feedback that the internet as a majority has given. I mean, obviously they're not going to get rid of Jodie, even though that was some apparently big news that she was coming back next season. If you've ever watched Doctor Who, you know that the Doctor's not regenerating, so that's not happening. So she is coming back, but just some of the feedback and some of the writing, we'll see.
yeah. I think overall this is probably going to be a subpar season, but for first season with a new showrunner and a new Doctor, I think it's probably satisfactory. Now, the big thing is if they come back next season and add in who we think is going to show up in the New Year special.
Right.
And move forward with that kind of overall story arc. I greatly appreciate what they try to do this season. With each episode, it's its own thing. You haven't had the need to have watched previous Doctor Who to get into this season.
Right.
They brought a female Doctor in. Viewership is up on all accounts because of all of that. But now you've built something within the universe. Now let's bring in more aspects from the previous Doctors and stuff like that.
I think that the diehard fans, the people that aren't new, were probably willing to give them a pass for this season because they have said, this is what we're doing. But I think if they don't, moving forward, start kind of taking some of those criticisms into account, maybe adding some more of the old bad guys or whatever in, I think that viewership might go back down because you're going to start losing some of the more old time fans.
The more established
fans.
I won't call us old time fans, but we're established fans.
Established works better.
I have I actually am wearing my Doctor Who shirt tonight. It's just one of the ones with all the sci-fi stuff on it. But I want to put a bow on this episode, and then we could talk about next season and stuff like that. This episode, I was really happy with them bringing back Tim Shaw. That was a really good character that I'd like to see more going forward.
He's not gone, right?
He's not gone.
Because he's in this hyperstasis chamber thing. He'll get out.
I liked that Graham and Ryan went off one direction. The Doctor and Yaz went off. Doctor and the chick from the planet, the Stanza, whatever, went off one direction, and Yaz and the commander went off in one direction. I've struggled a little bit with Yaz-centric storylines
Yeah.
a lot this season. Not that I don't like Yaz, but if you're going to have a 3 companions, friends, Team TARDIS, however you're going to put it, I like to see more distribution amongst them, specifically Ryan.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
this episode did that. They spread out all the stories really well. They've done that really well, I think, over the last few episodes.
Yeah. This wasn't specifically Ryan. It was probably more towards Graham, just because we're still wrapping up the Grace thing.
Right.
Although Ryan's
involved
affected
in that.
with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
And I like the fact that Ryan had a chance to do something in this episode and he didn't take it. He didn't take that extra step to really. He could have gone down a path that would have led him.
You mean Graham?
Sorry,
Yeah,
Graham.
okay.
Graham going down that extra step and not doing that. I really appreciate him not doing that.
Right. Yeah.
This episode really showed that it is Team TARDIS. Now I'm going to ask a poll question at the end, and I want to hear your opinion at the end. But I really think that I like the 4 of them together, and they really showed it in this episode. They really leaned into that last few episodes of the 4 of them doing stuff together.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the season as a whole, like we've said, we probably aren't as happy with it as we'd like to be. I think we said that about the first season of Capaldi.
Yeah.
I think we said that the first season with Bill.
Yeah.
And Piper. Anyways, with Bill. But I think there's going to be stuff in this episode that's going to be touched on as we go on further.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we kept talking about was that there didn't seem to be an overarching story. And while, they did with Tim Shaw, but it was like bookends, right?
Right.
He didn't keep, like, the crack in the universe kept popping up throughout the whole... Bad Wolf. This was like the beginning and the end. And there wasn't really any reference back to that, so I don't know. We'll
see what happens as we go forward. Now, they did announce today with the season finale that we will not get new episodes of Doctor Who, which will be season 12.
Okay.
Until early 2020. So we have a year plus to get there, which means they've probably written the episodes. They will start filming middle of the year, and they'll move on from there. Like you said earlier, they will probably take how everybody's reacted to it on the internet and add that in.
Yeah.
I really don't want to lose any of the Team TARDIS, but if we do lose someone, it's they're going to have to build up on the backstory to make you feel anything for losing someone that's not Graham.
Yeah. I kind of maybe see them whittling it down. Maybe not this season, maybe towards the end of this season.
Right.
Whittling down to 1. Because it would seem strange, like, for all 3 of them to just decide all at once that they don't want to do it anymore. Right. Unless they make some, there was like the Dr. Donna where he really had to wipe her memory and send her back to Earth.
And Rose kind of got screwed by the universe.
Yeah.
And,
got dropped off on another time or whatever. But for them to just decide to not want to go along anymore, that kind of seems like...
I think if you were to ask me right now, I think of the 3, I think Graham wants to stay.
On the TARDIS?
On the TARDIS. And then Ryan and Yaz probably want to move on.
Maybe. Or maybe Ryan and Graham decide to
go home and build their life.
And I don't know.
So our poll question with the end of this season and everything, we would like to know what you think the 4 of them should be called. Team TARDIS or the Fam? They've used references to both throughout the season. So leave us a comment here on this episode review. Do you want fam, as in the family, or Team TARDIS? Let us know. And we have one more episode going on. It's the New Year's Day special. I believe we're going to get something in that episode. I'm not going to say the word because I jinx it.
Right. But it looks like some big bad that we may have had before.
Yes, and I think that would be a great jumping point for season 2 and on from here on out.
Yeah.
So that is our review of this episode, which is called The Battle of...
You moved it.
I did move it. You'll get it. And overall season review of Doctor Who. We will do the review of the New Year special. Like I said, tell us what you think. Team TARDIS or the fam, as in family. Let us know what you thought. Also, let us know what you think of the season overall. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's really easy. And all of our social media stuff is in the description. Just click on it and subscribe and follow us on all of those links.
Yep.
And until the next episode coming in New Year's, good night, cult members.